In the name of God, hello and welcome. I'm Ali Reza Madadi with the latest coming to you live from the Iranian capital, Tehran. Iranian President Hassan Rouhani has said that the country will hold Eid al-Fitr or Quds Day events in compliance with protocols set to combat COVID-19 outbreak. Speaking on Saturday, President Rouhani said that Eid al-Fitr prayers, which marks the end of the holy fasting month of Ramadan, will be held in religious centers across the country. He added, however, that the prayers will only be held in local religious centers as opposed to major prayer grounds where worshippers usually convened in each city to mark the event. President Rouhani, who made the comments addressing the national headquarters against the coronavirus, said that Quds Day will also be commemorated in white regions where the coronavirus is not deemed a threat. He added that Quds Day will take place without its usual annual rallies and will instead be held within the perimeters of Friday prayers, which coincide with Quds Day. President Rouhani exempted the capital Tehran from the measure where the Quds Day event will be organized in the form of a car protest. He said it will be a symbolic measure using vehicles and it will be organized by the Islamic Revolution Guard Corps, the IRGC. As a legacy of the late founder of the Islamic Republic of Iran, Imam Khomeini, Quds Day has been designated on the last Friday of the fasting month of Ramadan to mark worldwide Muslim solidarity with the Palestinian cause. The event was commemorated every year with major rallies across Iran and beyond. Now, Iran's health ministry spokesman says only 35 people have died of the novel coronavirus in Iran in the past 24 hours, the lowest number of daily fatalities in 70 days. Kianush Jahanpur said on Saturday that the new deaths increased the overall fatalities to 6,937. He also confirmed that 1,757 new cases of COVID-19 infection, raising the total number of cases to 118,392. So far, he said 93,147 patients have recovered from the disease and have been discharged from hospitals across the country. However, 2,716 people are currently in critical conditions. He also noted that 672,679 COVID-19 tests have been conducted in Iran so far. According to Jahanpur, the southwestern Khuzestan province is still in red conditions and has the highest number of hospitalizations and screenings. Now, due to its population density, regional health authorities in Catalonia say they are willing to see no easing of lockdown for Barcelona as Spain relaxes COVID-19 measures in the country.
Over half of Spain's 17 autonomous regions have loosened COVID-19 restrictions over the past week, following a national normalization plan to reopen the country for business. However, regional authorities in Catalonia have asked the central government to keep the metropolitan area of Barcelona out of the four-phase plan for now. Catalonia says the capital remains a moderate to high-risk region due to its population density.
The north and south metropolitan areas of Barcelona share a series of demographic and social factors that require a specific easing approach, as they cover only 9% of Catalonia's area while accounting for 65% of its population.
On Friday, the Spanish government approved the Catalan deconfinement plan. It maintains restriction to movement, social gathering and travel within and outside of Barcelona, though public access to libraries, museums, places of worship are eased.
We have paid a heavy price. We've been under lockdown for the past 2 months. Our economy has taken a serious blow. Many people have lost their jobs. The decision was taken by a scientific committee and people with first-hand knowledge of the problem, so waiting for 15 more days is worth it.
I should hope that experts, not politicians, are the people who guide us and tell us what to do as we relax lockdown rules. So far, this has been the case here, and that's the right way to go about it.
Spain's capital, Madrid, remains the nation's hardest hit region with COVID-19. Local officials have asked the government for authorization to implement the first phase of easing restrictions, but their request has been rejected by health authorities. The Spanish government is now mulling the mandatory use of masks in public spaces, as it is also seeking the opposition's support to further extend the state of emergency. While most Barcelonians are eager to regain a semblance of normality, they're also aware that reopening too soon may waste all their efforts over the past 2 months to fend off the collapse of their healthcare system. Qusay Kadri, Press TV, Barcelona.
Meanwhile, the statistics now coming to light show that COVID-19's elderly victims have paid a heavy price. Sweden's health authorities are blaming the country's death toll, which is higher than in neighboring Denmark, Norway and Finland, on the fatality rate in care homes. About 90% of the 3,700 people who have died from coronavirus in Sweden were over 70 and half were living in care homes. In Belgium, more than half of the country's coronavirus victims have died in care homes. Care home workers say the sector was initially overlooked and they suffered from shortages of masks and skyrocketing prices for hand sanitizers. In Spain, the country was shocked at the end of March when the defense minister revealed that soldiers drafted in to disinfect residential homes had found some elderly people abandoned and dead in their beds. The central government has asked the country's 17 regional governments to send in their figures on care home deaths but has yet to publish them. Deaths from coronavirus in Italy's care homes came to light only when newspapers started to report on the issue in early April. The prime focus was on care homes in Milan, which had more than 1,000 residents and where there was an unusual increase in deaths in March. An investigation began and care home officials found that 300 residents had died between January and April. Back home, the spokesman for Iran's foreign ministry has lashed out at the United States for pressing ahead with its acts of sabotage while the world is in need of a united fight against the deadly coronavirus outbreak, saying Washington continues to encourage division and violence across the globe. My colleague Omid Haidari has this story.
Abbas Mousavi said in a post on his official Twitter account on Saturday that from West Asia to Latin America and from United Nations Security Council to WHO, the U.S. causes divisions, stirs violence, and spoils multilateral institutions. He added that the U.S. continues to disrupt, distract, and sabotage at a time that all countries in the world need to get united in solidarity and unified in action against COVID-19 pandemic. The spokesperson included in his tweet some media reports showing Washington's acts of sabotage in different parts of the world. According to a running count by worldmeters.info, more than 4,677,000 people are now infected with the coronavirus and over 310,000 have died. The death toll from COVID-19, the disease caused by the coronavirus in Europe, has exceeded 160,000, while its total infection has passed 1.7 million, according to the website. U.S. President Donald Trump has come under scrutiny in time for his scattershot approach toward the handling of the coronavirus outbreak, which puts the United States on the top of the list of the worst-affected nations across the globe. Trump has also been under fire for resorting to a blame game strategy to take the spotlight off the deteriorating situation inside the country. He has accused the World Health Organization, the UN's health agency, of mismanaging the spread of the virus and not acting quickly enough to investigate it when it first emerged in China in December 2019. The U.S. president has even threatened to cut ties with China over what he calls Beijing's failure to contain coronavirus in another apparent bid to cover up his administration's mismanagement in response to the pandemic. The coronavirus, which was publicly reported in the U.S. at the end of February, has now infected some 1,493,442 and killed 88,930 others nationwide.
And finally, despite all recent stories in world media over European Union's new policy in sanctioning the Israeli regime, it again shies away from applying pressure on Tel Aviv, letting it expand its annexation plan in occupied Palestinian territories.
In recent weeks, it had been widely reported that the European Union had finally worked up the courage to announce it will place sanctions on Tel Aviv if the Israeli regime goes ahead with plans to annex parts of the West Bank, approved as part of Donald Trump's much criticised Middle East peace initiative. Following a meeting of EU foreign affairs ministers on Friday, there was no mention of possible sanctions, just more of the usual rhetoric.
We must work to discourage any possible initiative towards annexation, and this will require reaching out by all of us to Israel, to the United States, Palestine, Arab partners.
Due to Tel Aviv's decades of international law breaches in its pursuit to totally oppress Palestinians, it is understood several EU nations would prefer a tougher position being adopted towards Israel. These include France, Spain, Italy, Netherlands, Ireland, Sweden, Denmark, Poland, Belgium and Luxembourg. It's believed that even pro-Israel Germany has been hardening its views in light of threats to engage in further land grabs. However, new sanctions would require unanimous agreement, and some EU countries, such as Hungary and Czech Republic, would never give their support. Analysts say the Israeli regime always becomes very aggressive when criticised.
We've seen in the past that whenever a country takes stances, not even sanctions, but stances against Israel, Israel is always going to retaliate harder. It's always going to play hardball. It's always going to overbid. And right now, no EU country is actually willing to enter in such a confrontational spiral.
Israel's illegal occupation of Palestinian territories, ongoing land grabs and military atrocities have all been criticised by the United Nations and Western countries. But in the end, nothing is ever done. Political commentators suggest the single most important factor in terms of easing pressure on Palestinians would be Donald Trump losing the US presidential election in November. They say never before has the powerful Israel lobby in Washington had such an influence over the White House. Jerome Hughes, Press TV, Brussels.
Well, that's it for me now. Thank you very much indeed for staying with us. Good night.